Hey everyone, my name is Metro, and today we're taking a look at Bloodmaul Slag Mines Challenge Mode, alright? Now the purpose of this guide and video is to help you guys understand exactly what needs to be done, alright? Obviously this is going to be showing our gold time, but more importantly I'm going to be walking you through every pack and things that I'm doing, things that the group should be doing, and how you could maximize your comp. Now, I am very passionate about challenge modes, and I feel like anybody out there can get them done. You know, golds are they're really tight nowadays, but with the proper, etiquette and information, any group can come together and do this. And this is proof right here. This is a Pug. These videos might not always be from Pug perspectives, but I don't know any of these other people. All four of these dudes are just random dudes. We've never played together before, and frankly, it's not a very optimal group. Druid Healer is great, DK Tank's great, but that's me. And the rest of the group, Rep Paladin, Frost Mage, and Marksman Hunter. Especially now, Marksman is just, it's not the spec you want to be playing in challenge modes, but, this did a good job. None of them did bad, but they weren't exceptional. So, frankly, I'd say in terms of challenge modes, you always have to have somebody needs to carry. You can't have a tank and 4 DPS or like 4 other players that don't, not one of them's able to stand out. So, not to toot my own horn, it's really the class, it's not me, but DK can carry. And I feel like that was me. I was able to do that, so that's why we're making the video. So let's get right into the actual strategies and the pulls, and we'll talk more there. So the first thing you need to understand about challenge modes, especially this one's super long, all right? So this first pull needs to be as good as possible. I'm going to equate this one to Scarlet Monastery if you did mobs challenge modes. It's going to be a 5 pull, all right? It's pretty big. You're going to take a lot of damage, right? The two guys right at the front, they're going to do the crush right there. You see it? You got to move out of that. People are going to get hit by that. DPSers, they're going to get one shot, all right? But more importantly on this pull, that you need to pre-pot and probably potion again here as DPS. All right, it's that important, because when you use an invis pot, you can no longer use DPS potions. So you need to use as many DPS potions as you possibly can from the start to the finish. All right, and then obviously, that pack, you stun them. The 2 big guys can't be stunned. The ones that do the crush, they cannot be stunned, but everything else in that pack can be stunned. So here we're going to go left first. All right, you need to go left first because the invis is recommended to take place after the right side boss, right? The first boss in most difficulties, but in this, we're going to do it. So now the Geomancer here. Geomancer is the target, all right? You need to skull up the Geomancer, and it needs to die first because you see there, yeah, I just dispelled it. It's going to have that Earth Shield thing on it. It cannot be, you got to damage through it, otherwise it's got to be dispelled. So very, very important. And now you're going to need all 3 of the slavers on this side for mob count. If you follow the strategy, we're going to need, there's only going to be 1 mob that you skip that's not an invis. So I'll show you where that is a little later. But these slavers, these guys put up a small enrage. So this is going to be strenuous start to finish. Now, like I said, you're going to need somebody to stand out. And as you see, the AoE DPS that a Death Knight tank can do is just stupid. It's really broken. I would say, like, I'm not trying to act like I know what I'm doing here. You know what I mean? This is just the class. And even on 2 mobs, I'm like, it's just stupid. So if you don't have a Death Knight tank, it's not the end of the world. I've seen it done with all tanks. I've not actually seen a Druid, but it shouldn't matter because the DPS in our group they're not playing crazy. You know what I mean? Frost Mage and a Survival or Beast Mastery Hunter should be top. You know what I mean? I shouldn't be beating them on any situation without cooldowns or nothing, but Blood is exceptional and I built this character to play it. So we're obviously just going to keep moving along in this hallway. There's not a lot to talk about here. Like I said, the slavers are going to put up the enrage, and the large guys there are going to do, the enforcers are going to do the crush right there. You got to move out of that. If you do not move, you'll die. Especially as DPSers, if you're a DPSer and you don't move out of that, you're dead. You're going to get 1 shot. It's as easy as that. Now this whole hallway is going to be 1 long string of combat. I would recommend doing it this way, especially since you probably double potion the first pull. No reason not to. Like I said, very important. Do not underestimate how important a potion is here. You're going to see it. Pre-pot armor. Watch the number. Watch the charts, man. This is what I'm talking about. You need somebody to be able to come into this room and carry the group, and it's going to be me. Look at the chart, man. The sound clip is too good, but I don't have time to show it. the hunter is like, dude, what are you doing? Like, I'm doing 125k DPS, and this is just the class, you know what I mean? But it doesn't matter, because any player can come in here and do this. All right, so is it going to be you? Are you playing a class that can facilitate this? If not, then you need to know what your class brings, you know what I mean? And I know what DK brings. I know I'm able to do insane AoE DPS at the foregoing of, like, you know, cooldowns, defensive cooldowns. Some make me do more damage, so you got to know these things. But obviously, you just pull that hallway. There's 2 mobs in there, like the 2 elemental guys that are not like you know, a gauntlet type. You kill them, and then the giant lord here. This guy does immense damage. It's all magic, pretty much. I mean, it is 100% magic. So if you're DK or monk, you'll definitely want to use AMS or, you know, the 99% magic reduction as monk if you can. Otherwise, you're just going to kill him as quickly as possible. Dark sim his fireball, you know, reflect it if you're warrior or whatever. Interrupt them otherwise. All DPS just try to interrupt as much as possible. Then you're going to pull what's left into this guy here. You see those mobs funneling out of that? That's a misplay. We do not want to kill these. They will die to the pack in front of them. So you don't want to get them. All right. So we did make a pretty... I wouldn't say this is an egregious misplay, but it's trash we don't have to kill. And even though we're AoEing like crazy... once again, we pull a second pack, and this is bad. You know what I mean? This is huge. This is adding 10 seconds to our time at least. So you do not want to do that. Do not tank them anywhere close to that little fountain of fire that comes out. I guess it's like a furnace. All right. But anyway, once these are dead, this is a very, very, very dangerous pack. And once again, we pull a third pack of these guys. You know, like I said, it's a pug, and we're still able to do this. So I'm going to army here. All right. Listen up. You need to use everything here. All right. If you're a paladin, you need a guardian. You know, everybody uses their big. You see me pop Icebound. I kind of panic. I use all 3 of my cooldowns at once: Icebound, Vamp Blood, and Bone Shield, which I did not need to do, and that was really stupid. But it doesn't matter because I got a pre-pot armor in. All right, because I pre-potted the previous trash and I made sure I saved it. I wasn't sure if we were gonna get a combat here. Popped army. Stun them, and they're dead. All right, our DPS, unfortunately, we've been in combat the whole time, so you can't really see, but our DPS shined right here. They saved their CDs, and they did a great job. So if you're going to do these as damage, you need to make sure you save your CDs here. As healers, you need to save the external for the tank, and as tank, you need to make sure you have your shield wall equivalent up and 1 other large external. So definitely pre-pot armor. You don't need a potion on this boss, and you won't be potioning again for quite some time. But pre-pot armor that pack, and then come right here, you know what I mean, afterwards. So we make another big misplay. This is a major misplay in my opinion. The skull, I don't know who marked this, but you do not want to kill this thing. This thing doesn't even do damage. It does only damage to the tank, and it's avoidable. That rough smash is avoidable. So the fact that we kill that is a major misplay right there in my opinion. The fire ad, this is the one you want to burn. You want to kill. Just AoE off the boss cleave. If you're a tank, obviously do as much AoE DPS as you can. But otherwise, wait until this thing comes out and then go nuts. Kill the skull as quickly as possible. It does a ton of raid-wide damage and makes the fight much more difficult. So this is going to be the lust. All right, so note some of the things that we've done here, okay? We used army on the previous pack and lust on this boss. So those are 10-minute cooldowns, right? And we still got a lot of time left in this dungeon, which is important. I'm not necessarily sure what other specs and classes have, but if you have 10-minute CDs, you want to make sure you're using them on this boss or prior. All right, any long cooldowns need to be used here. So this boss, we got a pretty fortunate swing of events there. Usually he summons that ad first, which eats up a lot of time and trinket procs from the boss. But now the Molten Impact spawns. You'll want to drag the boss over to this ad. All right, this ad doesn't really do anything. And if you're a monk, you could one-shot it with Touch of Karma, or you know, and any damage could kill it easily as a tank. But your DPS shouldn't have to switch to it. Just cleave off it. It's your job as a tank to make sure you interrupt it if it's about to cast, or stun it if it's about to do the uninterruptible like line cast that it does. But otherwise, this fight is a break. The previous pack, in my opinion, is more difficult than this encounter. As DPSers and healers, he's gonna, in the first room, in the first like set of this mechanics, like the first boss of it, he's gonna do like boom, shoot, like little bombs, gonna boom, boom, boom. They're gonna hit the ground, boom, boom, and you gotta move from those. They're gonna do a ton of damage, but literally that's it. That's the entire encounter. So let's see how it transpires. Once you're like, the boss is mad low. If you feel like you have good execute, I don't know, maybe ignore the ads. we probably could have saved a lot of time and just not, you know. I think, in retrospect, I think we probably should have lusted on that part of the boss. And there goes that orb. I made a comment about that in the video. It's like, why would you use that there? You know what I mean? But anyway, I think you probably want to lust on the actual boss of the, like that half of the fight. And then kind of maybe kill one ad and ignore the rest or something. I don't know, but that's different ways. So if you're really tight, that's one way you could add a lot of time. Now here, this is a huge way to add a lot of time. We got Hunter and Druid, and the Druid does not give us Aurora where we need it. In fact, I'm not sure he even used it. I didn't notice, but I'm going in a Holy. You got it. That's a long run, so any type of short-term speed boost needs to be used there. Challenge modes are all about short-term speed boosts in between long packs like that. And then we're going to grab all three of these. They got 2 slavers and the Enforcer. The Enforcer is going to do the overhand. Look at this. Oh my god, the crush. Look at that crush, man. It's like orange crush. You just move right out of it. Super easy. You'll need to pull all 3 of these mobs from mob count. If you try to skip, the first time we came through here, we skipped the one on the right, or on the left, I guess it doesn't matter, and we missed a 1 mob. That was the 1 mob we needed, so you need to pull that from mob count. These guys, like I said, they don't really do anything. At this point, all your CDs should be still on cooldown. Maybe not as a tank, since you probably used all your cooldowns on the pack before that boss, but as DPSers, you should use all your cooldowns on the boss, so they might be coming up here. I would recommend now, stun is going to be coming up here. Somebody aggroes that slaver. We did not want to do that. Another major misplay. In fact, I'm pretty sure I die here because of that misplay. And this is proof that I'm telling you, anybody can do these if you have the right mindset. I get crushed by it. What an embarrassment. The fact that that's even on the video is just absolutely embarrassing. But the point is, there's a sleeping slaver, okay? You do not want to pull that one. That one is not going to engage unless somebody attacks it or walks right in front of it. So you do not want to engage that one. You don't need it from mob count. The alternative is you could pull that one, and you could have elected to not pull one of the slavers on the left side of the room, go to the fire. But that one, I mean, that doesn't make sense. That's an easy pull. This is a really tough pull. At this point, tank CD should be back up. You're definitely going to need to use them. If you got a stun, you know, a warrior, DK, or monk tank, you need to use your stun on this pull. If not, save it for the next pull. These 2 pulls back to back are very, very difficult. And we pretty much almost wiped there, and we're still going to get gold, which is crazy. So now here we go. These dudes here, they shoot the lava. Look how much damage that does. Oh, no. You know what I mean? I almost died there. You need to make sure you interrupt that as the tank. But as the DPS, you need to make sure you interrupt that Furious Roar. You just saw it on the screen there. That's way more important. Okay? It's going to fear the full group. All 5 people will get feared if that gets off. So there's not really many options. Now, these guys also put up, like, you see it there? It's on their character pane. It's like a buff that they get that allows them to cast no matter what. Like, they can't be interrupted or stunned. So if you got a mage or a hunter, I think a rogue can do it. Death Knight tank can do it. A warrior tank can do it. You need to get that magic off them immediately, all right, if it gets up. Or it could be interrupted, but you see it there. I mean, you could also dark sim them while they have it up, and you'll one-shot them. I mean, no joke, you'll do at least like 60% of their health, but it's a gamble, and it's probably not worth it. But these 2 guys here now, there's going to be 2 guys that fear, 1 on each side, and I'm pretty sure we fail again at this. Yeah, we don't get this one. So we eat a fear. A 5-second fear in PvE is not good. All right, let's put it that way. You do not want to have this happen. I pop a few CDs here to survive it, but just make sure you skull one of these. Maybe say in voice comms, I'm gonna get the skull, you guys get the other one, etc. They cannot be stunned. All right, so they do need to be hard interrupted. So you'll need to make sure that happens. I would recommend going right to the boss. Once the first one is dead out of these 2, I would recommend dragging this one to the boss. We did not do that there because I used a potion at some point and we were still in combat. It must have been on the previous pull. But you need to make sure you have your potions up. You cannot pot this boss. I guess you could pre-pot if you have the wherewithal to pre-pot. You could, because the boss is going to take at least a minute. So if you pre-pot this boss, that's fine. But after this is going to be the invis. So no potions on the boss itself. This is definitely, a tough fight. The Wild Slam does a lot of damage as a tank, so you want to make sure, as a tank, you want to make sure you have every Wild Slam coverage. Either your active mitigation or a hard CD. It's not really as big of a deal as it sounds, but this is the iniquities I don't know, intricacy is the words I'm looking for there, that make a good tank in challenge modes. You know what I mean? You got to be able to reduce damage. Look how much damage the group's taking here. So the druid is, you know, he's struggling, you can tell. And, you know, he pops Trank there. That's not a ton. I don't see how that's a good Trank target, but he has to pop it because we're all screwed. And if it wasn't for me using a CD almost every smash, then I would have probably died right there. You know what I mean? Trank is not, you don't want to Trank on a boss like that. But anyway, the Wild Smash is going to be the bulk of your damage, but these ads are going to do a ton of damage as well. All right, you need to try to slow these. As a tank, you can't really stop them. They're going to they're just going to pick people and they're going to root them and stuff like that. This is a tough fight. It's probably the toughest fight in here, I'd say. The second to last, or the last boss is really tough as well, but you want to try to stun these. If you're a hunter, throw it on trap like that man did right there. Binding shot, you know, remorseless winner, roots, anything like that. Anything to keep them from killing the player they're fixated on is great. You don't want to actually target those things, all right? Now here, listen up. This is the invis we're going to do. You need to hard CC these two. This is just like the Mogushan Palace skip at the end of the instance, all right? This is very, very important. If it's not done correctly, you will not be able to do this. This is like, it's that important. You could kill the mobs, I guess. If you have plenty of time, you could kill the mobs. There's only 2 of them, but there's no reason to do that. You hard CC them. That means Trap, Hex, Sheep, Sap, Repentance. Am I missing one? Probably. Paralyze. Any of those should work. All right. And now you're going to invis all the way through to the boss. You need to be able to make this, but if you use the new 18-second invis pot, you should have no problems with this. I used the belt. In fact, how much seconds I had? Yeah, I still had 3 seconds, so I could have used the belt there and made it very, very comfortably. The engineering belt being a 15-second pot. But anyway, the invis is there. You make it. You come here and do the bosses immediately. The fiery boulders. I mean, there's not much to say about this boss. If you're ranged, you might as well re-roll. This is a tough fight. In fact, I don't think our hunter does it, but if you don't actually have casts, I would probably just stand in melee. It's just, this is a huge pain. I'm doing it as a tank perspective. This is probably the one fight in challenge modes where tanking and melee DPS is probably going to be the bulk of your damage. You're not going to have to dodge anything as melee. Probably the one time in all challenge modes where melee are preferred, but this is not, there's nothing to really talk about. Try to mitigate as much damage as you can as a tank, especially magic damage. When he like pushes it back, I use AMS or, you know, bone shield, stuff like that. Just small damage. You don't really need to worry about it. And then there goes one of our characters. I think that's the mage. Yeah, it must be the mage who died. Actually, is it the druid? I don't know. Either way, it's a really tough fight. It's proof right there that the mechanics of this fight are just unfair to ranged and ridiculously easy for melee DPS and tank. But anyway, yeah, that's the whole fight. So I'm just take a drink here. Try to finish strong. You don't want to use any CDs here. This next pack is going to be pretty brutal. If you could save, you definitely need now. So we're back to another brutal pack after the one pull after this. I've seen people do this pull with 3. I probably could have. I didn't think it was worth it though. So what you could do here is root this guy or stun him and pull him down to the next 2. Now, before you even consider that, let me talk about this. This guy does an insane amount of damage, and it's not just to the tank, all right? So when 3 of them are attacking you, you're fucked. You have no hope of surviving that. So if you're going to do that, you need to make sure you won't have a potion here, unless you're... I don't think there's any way of a tank. I don't think you could rogue stealth that. Maybe you could, but if you have a potion, you want a pre-pot, but you probably, no chance you will. So I would just recommend killing this one quick as possible, and then the next 2 are still going to be very, very dangerous. But army is back up. We've been in this dungeon for 20 minutes almost now. So you could use 2 armies and 2 lusts. Lust will be used on the boss, obviously, but big CDs should be coming back up, especially since you probably didn't need to use any CDs there. Maybe as DPS, you use some 3 minutes there. But this is a very... It's just 2 mobs, but it's way more dangerous than it looks. So I pop army there. All right, you see the amount of damage that's going on already. Just... The 3 people are just getting slaughtered, you know what I mean? We stun them. They can be fully stunned. All right, they can be kited as well. So one thing I've seen people do, especially with a monk tank, I could do it there. I didn't want to because army was tanking them anyway. I didn't need to dodge them, but I could keep them in place and then jump up. I can go up the stairs, all right? And then when they get to the top of the stairs, you jump off, and they'll try to follow you, but they'll kind of like, they'll falter in the path that they take. They'll like, you know, they'll go down the stairs a little bit and then they'll come off. So it's not the best strategy, but if you're a monk, you should probably do that, because another option obviously is the statue. Probably throw down the statue there and you just let it beat on them for a little bit while your DPS gets time in. But once you're comfortable with the pack the way it's gone, this is very important. The time, these 4 mobs that remain don't do damage. Like that does some damage, but it's completely dodgeable. Even with 4 doing it in all 4 different directions, you're in no danger of dying. So I don't know why I'm hesitating so much. I should have probably pulled all 4 of those while that big guy was still alive. I guess because I knew we had this. We had come through here twice already, and we only had about 2 minutes the first time we got here. We got plenty of time, as you see here, so just no real danger. But this is the calm before the storm in its truest sense. This boss is probably the hardest boss in any challenge mode. I would say, I don't know, man, maybe, but you know, this is going to be a true test of your group, because if you don't have a death knight, if you don't have a lot of stuns, you're going to struggle to keep the ad in place. Now, one thing I'm going to recommend before we even pull this boss, right? Listen up. A mage can spell steal the buff that he gets from casting. You know, he casts and does more fire damage, or more damage, whatever it is. If you spell steal that buff at more than 1 stack, it's a crazy, even if you just spell it out 1 stack. But the first time we ever did this, not with this group, our mage spell stole it with 3 stacks and he did 35k DPS. The boss died in like a minute. Alright, so if you can do that, if you need time, that's something you should do. Just let him get 2 or 3 casts off, spell steal it, and then interrupt from there on. But otherwise, you see he's got the Santa hat on. Don't be distracted by that. Christmas is over. It's not, I don't know why he's still got that on. It's probably just because he's nostalgic about Christmas. But you're going to want to stick to moving him along a certain path. So I choose the right half of the room. This is very important because this means you always know where the ad is going to go. I've seen a lot of people do this in the middle, and then the ad kind of just like ran RNGs where it's going to go. But if it's always on one side of the room, the ad always goes to the long side. And you want the ad to spawn as far away from the thing as possible. But either way, if it gets anywhere near it, you've done it terribly wrong. So even with this suboptimal group, we got 3 good stuns. You should rotate those, you know what I mean? If you have a DK, you have a death grip as well, so you don't even need to stun it. Now, in terms of DPS priority, our group kind of wavered a bit on who should attack what and when should be attacked. You got to kill the ad, all right? I feel the faster the ad dies, the better the fight goes, but this isn't actually going to be the case in a lot of situations. So if you have a strong DPS, like I'd probably say Rep Paladin, Rogue, maybe Death Knight, a melee, you know, perhaps Warrior as well. I guess any real melee besides Enhancement Shaman that is going to do better AoE than single target. You'll want to just stay on the boss, all right? Just keep dumping the boss's damage going. If you have some cleave, like, you know, Divine Storm or whatever, Thunderclap, whatever specs, you can do that damage to the ad. But otherwise, if you're melee and you have a stun to offer it, and then just go back to the boss, because this boss has a lot of health comparatively. And if you're going to kill like 6 ads in the fight, it's going to be a lot of wasted globals and a lot of ramp up time. So maybe a Shadow Priest is a good option for that to stay on the boss. But you guys figure that out based on your group. And then, you know, once he's this low, just ignore the ad. Just keep it rooted or stun it or whatever you got to do, and just don't let it get there. But you see the gold there. Now, I'm going to go ahead and rate this as middle of the pack. I can't say exactly. Akandun is definitely the easiest. I would say Dox is probably second. This is, I'd say maybe 3rd or 4th, but I don't know. That's going to be it. So if you guys have any questions, hopefully this helped you. If you do have any questions, just please ask. I love doing challenge modes, and I'll do them with you guys if you want on US. Just hit me up, all right? But we'll see you guys later.